Hi, I'm Melissa Case from Hat to Hem, and today I'm going to show you how I pad my dress form. If you sew garments for yourself, you know that a dress form is one of the best tools you have in your arsenal. The thing is, these things aren't always built in a way that reflects the person who is going to be wearing the garment. Now, there are ways to get around that. One of those ways is to order a custom dress form, but who can afford that? Another way is to sew up a pattern made to your measurements, like a bootstrap dress form, and make that as a cover for your dress form. The thing is, that's not exactly beginner friendly. Another way to get a dress form that works for you is to do a duct tape dress form. However, that requires help, and sometimes you just don't have that on hand. For those who don't know, the duct tape dress form involves somebody literally duct taping your body and then cutting it off. Honestly, I don't even think I have a shirt that I'd be willing to sacrifice for that. Another way to get a dress form that would fit your size is to pad it, which is what I do. Now, I'm sure there are plenty of ways to pad out your dress form. I'm just going to show you the way that works for me. You may watch this video and get a whole new idea about how to do this, and tell me about it in the comments because I bet that would be cool. But right now, I'm going to show you my way. So I use Fabulous Fit. I don't know if they're still available or not. I've had this for years. Now, the way this works is that it's a series of foam shapes that go inside a stretchy sleeve that goes over your dress form. Is it a perfect solution? No. Usually I still need to do extra padding with scrap fabric. And you know what? That's okay. Everybody's different. This is not 100% a one size fits all thing, but honestly, what is? But with a little bit of creativity, hopefully this could work for you. I actually like this thing so much I own 2 different sets of these. I have a size medium and a size large. I don't know if I accidentally mixed up the pieces, but the general concept is going to be the same regardless of what size foam pieces you have. If any, because you might not go this route, and that's okay. I'm rambling. Let me just show you how this is done. It feels kind of good to just be standing and talking to the camera again. These are how my videos started, and I just haven't had the space or the clean background. So this is kind of nice. Right, so the very first step is to take your measurements. You want to use well, I guess this is plastic. I was going to say you need a cloth tape measure, but as long as you have a flexible tape measure, that's all you need. You just want to make sure it'll go around you. What you don't want to use is one of these. One of the metal ones that just isn't going to bend properly around you. You wouldn't think I'd need to say that, but you'd be surprised. Now, if you're wearing any kind of special undergarments, you're going to want to wear them while you measure yourself. It's easier to pad this out to fit your corseted measurements or shapewear measurements or whatever you're using. Now, the foam pieces and the scrap fabric will give your dress form some squish, but probably not as much as they would get on your actual body. You can absolutely still put your corset onto your dress form after you have this done, and I'd even encourage that, but I think it'd be easier to start with your corseted measurements rather than try and get the padding and the scrap fabric, whatever you're using, to squish down. So you want to start where you want to end up, if that makes sense. In this particular case, I'm not planning on wearing a corset, so I'm just going to take my measurements as is. Now, the 3 measurements you're always going to take right now are your bust, waist, and hips. It really doesn't matter what project you're making. Those are going to be your standard 3 no matter what. Also, I cannot emphasize this enough. Write down your measurements. You think you're going to remember all of it, but you're not. Trust me, just save yourself the headache. Now, the rest of the measurements are optional, but they will make your life a little bit easier. I'd recommend taking a modified front width measurement. I would go from wherever the seams are on your shirt and measure across the fullest part of your bust. Trust me, it's just going to make things just a little bit easier when you try and pad out dress form. I would also measure from pretty much where the seam of your shoulder is, and I would measure straight down to, again, the fullest part of your bust. This way you know where that fullest part needs to be. And honestly, do that for as many parts of your body as you feel you need to. Now, that might be for your stomach, your bottom, your shoulders, anything. If there's any part that you know is not going to match up with this dress form, or whatever dress form you're using, measure it, because you'll be grateful to have the extra measurements later. Alright, so you have some of your measurements. Now would be the time where you can start working on the dress form. Now, for me, the best part about the Fabulous Fit system is that they come with these. These are basically sleeves that are just going to go over your dress form and hold all the padding in place. It just makes things neater and less likely to move around, as opposed to if you were just pinning actual padding onto the dress form, which you can do if you don't have one of these. Don't let me tell you how to live your life. I just think this makes things a little bit easier. Alright, so if you have like a little decorative piece like on my dress form here, just take it off. If possible. If not, don't worry about it. So if you're using the Fabulous Fit system or another one that comes with multiple sleeves, you want to use the completely plain one first. This one has no additional seams, and its whole purpose is just to hold everything together. So you want to put it on, but you don't want to go much further down than the shoulders. Alright, so you can see I have it on, and it doesn't even go down below the bust yet. It's just on the shoulders. So if you have to pad out your shoulders for whatever reason, now is the time to do that. However, the first thing I need to pad out is the bust. And these are what the bust padding looks like. I have no idea if they're supposed to be like this or if they're supposed to be like this, because I feel like this makes more sense in my mind, but the picture and the instructions have them like this. I don't know. I'm using them like this. If you don't have the foam padding pieces like this, it's fine. I mean, you can probably use chicken cutlets from the store. Not the food kind. You know, the bust padding. You know what I'm talking about? One of these. Yeah, like this stuff here. They also come with these little cup things, so if you need them, you can just kind of add a little extra padding wherever you need it. I'm going to need it in my bust, and if I'm going to be honest, I need it right here on my back. But I'm not there yet. Alright, so you're going to want to keep your tape measure handy because you want to make sure you are measuring as you go along to make sure everything is where it needs to be. I am still just a little bit off here. I need it to be at 38, and it's currently about 36 and a half. Now I could use more of these, however, I don't know if I'm going to need them for later, so I'm just going to take a bit of scrap fabric and put that in there instead. Now the trick to this is to make sure it's as evenly distributed as possible. That's not quite right, because otherwise it will bunch up like this, and it's not quite what I was going for. So I'm at 38 now, but it doesn't quite look right to me. However, measuring front width to front width, it's technically correct. Alright, so I am now measuring at 38, and I'm measuring 21 across is what I want. And going from the shoulder down, I'm measuring just a little high, so there we go. Alright, so I'm going to be honest, this is not going to look right at this stage. Even though everything is measuring where it's supposed to, and that's part of why it's good to take those measurements ahead of time, kind of just reassure yourself that things are right. Because quite frankly, I don't feel like this looks right, but I know it is because I checked all my measurements. And part of why it doesn't look right is because it's an optical illusion. The top half, the top portion of my body is not matching the bottom half. So it's causing an optical illusion that things aren't what I know to be me. However, like I said, all the measurements are adding up. So I'm going to just keep on going. I'm going to just kind of squeeze the little back portions that I know are there. There. And there. It also kind of helps to just stand with your dress. My dress form is actually just a little bit shorter than I am, so I'm going to kind of squat. It kind of helps be able to feel where you are versus where your dress form is. That way, you know, everything is where it needs to be and everything is proportionate and, you know, where things should be. It's still not like coming across as feeling right to me, but again, optical illusion. Alright, waist. Now if you're using the Fabulous Fit system or a similar one, you're going to notice a lot of different pads that are all similar yet different. In this case, I think it's the stomach and one of the thigh ones, they all kind of look the same. It honestly doesn't matter which one you use, just whatever is going to get this to be the closest to your measurements. That's all that matters. Alright, so that being said, I'm going to take one of these with the flat edges and I'm going to stick it right where my stomach is. Now I know I'm going to need more padding here, which is okay, but I'm going to try and get some of my other pads in place first. So I'm kind of building it out little by little. So I'm going to take these pieces here, the other two with the flat edges, and I'm going to stick them kind of on my side. Now I'm going to take these two and I'm going to stick them in the front right here. Hang on. Alright, so I'm going to take these two long pieces here, and these again could be either hips or they can be the front of your thighs, is what I like to use them for. So I'm going to stick that right under here. And the top of that is actually going to even add a little bit more to the stomach area. I'm just going to pull it down low enough that it holds it in place. And next are these round ones, and I like to use these to fill out the hips a little bit more and to also fill out the bottom. Well, my bottom. I'll stick one here, stick one here, and then stick this here and here. And we're going to put this cheek back where it was. Alright, so we're already starting to look a little bit more proportionate, but we can do better. But first, I want to see where we currently are. Alright, so I'm close with the hips. I just need another ½ inch or so. And then with the waist is nowhere close. So I'm going to focus on the waist. Yeah, I don't think those are going to be enough. So I'm going to grab some scrap fabric. There we go. Position-wise, that feels right. 31. We need 3 more inches. And you may realize you need to take a couple additional measurements. That's okay. There are no rules here. Nobody's going to judge you if you need to remeasure several times over. It's all good. The most important thing is that when all this is over, you get something that fits you. I'm actually going to pad out the hips a little bit because that might affect the stomach. If parts of you keep falling out, don't get discouraged. Just keep putting them back. It happens. So this is measuring close, but my hips are actually too wide. Now, in my case, I'm going to redistribute that padding towards the back. I'm not even going to measure that. I just know myself. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. Okay, the hips are perfect. The waist needs work. Alright, I actually need just a bit of fabric across my back here. Probably not that much, but I can lay it up flat. And that will hopefully distribute it out enough. And this is also why it's easiest to work from the top down, because once you get to a certain point, it gets kind of hard to build up certain areas. So once this is done, I know I'm going to want to remeasure the bottom part to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. So close, 1 inch off. That inch is definitely in the stomach though. So just need a little bit more. Let's see. Just a little bit more in the belly. My butt is migrating to the side. That's not what you want. Excuse me, ma'am. Can you please get back into your assigned seat? Woo, we're good. 34. Alright, now let's check the hips. Now the bottom's off. Now, I gotta say, you really get to know yourself when you're working on this, which really isn't a bad thing. We should understand our bodies a bit. But the thing is, trying to get frustrated, it takes a while to get everything right and where it's supposed to be, and then readjust to get everything where it's supposed to be once you had to fix something else. It's a process. But if you're at this point and you're getting frustrated, that's okay. Everyone is unique. So, of course, it's not going to take one set thing of foam pieces to match everybody perfectly the first time. You're unique, you're beautiful, and you deserve to have a dress form that reflects you. And you might be saying, but this part of my body, but that part of my body. No, shut up, you're beautiful. We don't accept body negativity on this channel. But seriously, be kind to yourself. This is frustrating. And, you know, we don't typically need to look at ourselves with a jersey sleeve tightly hugging every curve we have. And also, don't take your eye off the prize. The reason we're doing this is so that you can make a garment that makes you feel beautiful or handsome or whatever the case may be. Gorgeous. That's gender neutral, right? Although beautiful can be too. You're making a garment that makes you feel fantastic. How's that? All right, let's see. Oh, one more note if it doesn't look right. And of course, you know yourself, if it really doesn't look right and you know that, try and figure out why. However, if all your measurements are matching up and you're doing the feel test and it feels pretty much the same, the odds are you're just not used to looking at your body from this angle, and that's okay. I don't typically look at myself full on at this height. That's just not how that works unless you're looking at pictures of yourself. And even then, if it feels weird to look at pictures of yourself from full on like that, or an angle, or whatever it is, that's normal. Because you're not used to seeing yourself at that angle. You're used to seeing yourself from slightly above because of the mirror situation. And I'm rambling now because I want you to feel good about yourself. And like, I can tell you right now, this is not an angle I usually see myself at. I don't usually see myself from behind. I don't usually see myself from the side. I don't usually see myself head on from bust or waist level. And odds are, if I am looking at myself, I have a shirt that's kind of still disguising some of my curves. So even though this looks like an extreme angle to me, that still is pretty accurate when I look at it like this. If I stand directly behind my dress form, touch my hips, and I go straight forward, it matches up perfectly. And it's the same for my waist, and the same for the side of my bust. And you can see that this section is not as extreme as it was earlier, because it was optical illusion, because the waist and the hips weren't there yet. Alright, so the last step is to take your second sleeve. Now this is the one that has all the seams on there that will make life easier when you're actually trying to drape something on your dress form. What you're going to do is you're going to slide this on top of everything. So you can kind of see how you can still see some of the rough lines here, and you can see through and see where the pads are and where the other miscellaneous stuffing is. This is just going to help camouflage all that. Now, the most important thing is you want to make sure that your center back and your center front seams are straight, which they're not currently, but they will be in a second. Now the reason that's important is, from personal experience, those are the seams that you probably are going to use the most on your dress form. So it's good to have that mark already in place. I wonder if this was the medium sleeve. That's why it's fighting me. There we go. Alright, now you want to double check your measurements and make sure nothing was compressed too much or moved around too much. If it did, that's normal. Just try and reach in either through the arms, the top, or the bottom, and just try and get things back to where they need to be. 41. There we go. Then the top of the sleeve here, you can either fold it in on itself so that it blends in, or if you have one of my dress forms that has the hole in the center, you can just stuff it in there and not worry about it. Alright, and that's it. I hope this helped you. If it did, let me know in the comments below. If you have a better way of doing this, let me know, because I'm always interested in learning new things. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon for their support, even though I don't think they know I'm making this particular video right now. Now the whole reason I needed to pad out this dress form is because I am making Danielle's work dress from Ever After. So if that's something you're interested in, those videos should be up next. If you're not subscribed, hit that little subscribe button below, and there should be a little bell. If you click on it, it'll give you notifications from when my next video comes up. And I guess I'll see you next time. Bye!